Okay, I want to be respectful of everyone's time, so we'll go ahead and get started. And if needed, I can go through, any additional questions for later arrivals separately. So thanks everybody for jumping on short notice MFL Winter Town Hall. We got some updates today, mainly focused around the women's event. So we'll go ahead and get started. Next slide, please. So as we go through a small group, I'm not concerned about it getting too noisy, but if you've got a question, please use the chat section of the Zoom meeting. Also, anything that you want to ask offline or after hours, please do shoot us an email at themfl@gmail.com or hit us up on Instagram or ask any of the board members directly. Next slide, please. Okay, so just a quick reminder, what's our purpose here as the board? We work to be a medium to help build bonds for men and women through flag football, specific to the Monolith Christian Church community. Hopefully, everything that we do, you see as a reflection of that mission statement, all of our decisions move around supporting this goal. So with that, next slide, please. Okay, so some updates. Last we spoke at the last, town hall, we mentioned that we're expecting full turnover of the board over the next couple of years. Where we were at the time interviewing. Since then, Stan, a longtime board member, has now retired. So thank you, Stan, for your years of service. Stan was instrumental in restarting the MFL and getting us to where we are today. So we'll miss Stan, but he's not going anywhere. He'll be available for questions and support and continued guidance. But just got a lot of other things going on, and so he's stepping away. But with that, I'd like to introduce Jess Mathapara, one of our newest member of the board. And Jess is on. So Jess, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Jomi. Appreciate it. Hi, for anybody who does not know me, my name is Jess Mathapara. I'm from the Sierra Malabar Church in Bellwood, born and brought up in Chicago. I've been fairly active over the last, I want to say, decade or so in the MFL community, played in the summer, winter tournaments, captained a team in winter, played in the draft league, and coached Cousins' team the first time the summer tournament opened up the women's format. So I've been a pretty active member at every level as a participant, and I'm excited to serve the community as a board member going forward.
Awesome. Well, welcome and thank you, Jess, for your commitment. It's going to be a lot of fun. So looking forward to your approach and support as we continue the next generation of the MFL. So next slide, please. Okay, so on to the key topic. We are making some changes to the women's winter format. We're moving to women's what I would call a 3-on-3. You could say 3-on-2. Essentially, it's going to be 3 women on offense, so QB and 2 receivers, and 2 on defense. On defense, one of the big changes is that there will not be a rusher, and similarly on offense, there will not be the need for a blocker because no one's rushing. The referee will in some way count, 1,000, 2,000 to 5, and he'll blow his whistle, and that is when the play is called dead. It'll be played on the same field footprint, roughly speaking, as the 5-on-5, both for men and women. And for the most part, most of the other rules will remain the same. Pass interference, illegal contact, holding, stuff like that. The board is still working on updating the rule book. So we hope to get that out in the next week prior to the close of registration. So next slide, please. So I really wanted just to touch on why are we changing the format. The last few years, it's been evident that it's been a challenge to get enough interest and people available, women available to have run a women's winter event. Maybe not for a lack of desire, but just availability and other other issues. Moving to this new format, I think will support our goal for the winter, which is we want it to be a great entry point into MFL football. It's a simple format, so it makes it easier for a small group of friends to put together a team. I just mentioned like a Cousins team. It's because there's no rusher, there's no blocker. Essentially, it's two receivers and two DBs or defensive players. Less practice is needed, especially over the holidays. Hopefully, that'll make it a little bit easier to pull together a squad and just show up and play and have fun. And I think what we see with men's indoor to men's summer is that it's a great proving ground. It's a good entry point. It gets people interested and they get to try it without the commitment of an entire, summer of practice. So we're hoping that it supports, the larger as well as supporting our vision mission in that it helps pull people into the MFL and into the community and into our church communities and church teams. Um, my understanding is that we've already got three teams that are interested, so we're hoping for at least one more. But obviously, as many as we can get is fantastic. The more, the merrier. Next slide, please. So some details around registration. So obviously the tournament's the same day, 12/28. It's open now, and we're going to close it on the 9th, so a week from today. The fee is $40 per person. We're not, same rules apply, no changes to the roster after the registration deadline. Four-person minimum and six-person maximum. Players must be 15 on the day or by the day of the tournament, and player must be associated with the team's church affiliation. So that covers most of the changes to the event, the women's event. The next slide will cover a little bit about the field. So we're moving from the Athletico facility to the Willow Hill Dome in Northbrook. It's a fantastic field. It's in a dome. It's a huge footprint. The address is there. There's no food on premise allowed. There's multiple food options available nearby. They're very strict about the no food on site, and they want to limit, what's brought in from a cleanup perspective. It is a relatively new facility. I'm sorry, I just covered it. Was there anything else that you wanted to add from a field location and facility perspective?
No, I think the only other thing was it's within a larger golf course. So if you could uh, specifically say if you're using navigation, use lot one to try to find the facility.
Okay. And next slide, I think that covers the bulk of our updates for today. Again, if you're interested in playing, you don't know who to get a hold of, again, reach out to us at MFL@gmail.com or through Instagram. So at this point, we can pause or use the remaining time for questions, either around the format or the rules or anything in that vein. So, do we get any questions in the chat?
No questions.
Okay, so small group on. Before we wrap up, any questions either related to the women's event or if there's any men's questions?
Sorry, yeah, I had a quick question. You
Yeah.
said that there are three teams interested. Is that three women's teams that have already registered, or just what you've been hearing from like captains or whoever?
For the captains. Yeah, so the captains have been really supportive, so I appreciate all of their input. I think we've got potentially two teams from Syro and one team from Orthodox that I'm aware of. Registration officially hasn't opened yet, so no one has signed up, mainly because they're waiting for this call.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, any other questions before we wrap up? Anand, I thought I saw your hand up. Did you have a question either related to the women's or men's event? Okay. Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Anand. Sean, John, any other comments that you wanted to? Oh, it looks like we got a question. From Jacob, Matthew to everyone. Can you repeat the question? I lost it.
I think this is about the Detroit Martha team. They're asking, how do we know if our merger requests for players outside of our main church are confirmed? We'll follow up with you soon.
Yep. Okay. Sean, John, any other add-on comments or questions you've fielded that you'd like to repeat?
Nothing on my end. Just I guess this is gonna come out quickly, but we have three brackets on the men's side of we have 15 teams registered, and so there'll be five teams in each bracket. So it'll be a round robin within the bracket and then playoffs after that. If anybody was curious on the format with the 15 team tournament.
Thanks, Sean. John, any comments?
Yeah, no, nothing on my end. Just repeat what Sean said about the three brackets, but nothing to add.
Yeah. Toby, any closing remarks?
Nope. All good here.
Okay, so we can just close with for everyone in line, men and women, if you could spread that word on the women's event. I think it's going to be a great addition to the MFL portfolio of events and kind of in line with what we're trying to achieve in terms of growing the community and creating an entry point for all levels of female athletes, but especially those who just want to try it with less of a commitment and maybe with less of the practice requirements and whatnot that the summer event entails. So with that, I want to thank you for joining, and hopefully we'll see you on the 28th at the indoor tournament. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
I guess.